In the last video we looked at this, the DJI Mini 3. Will it take off? Well, yes it did. I managed to get a first flight with this during sunset and it performed really well. I was super impressed with the low light video coming out of here. But this is also a huge talking point. The DJI RC, is it any good? How does it compare to the RC Pro? Is it worth getting? Is this the package that you should probably go for? Let's find out. So once I got these set up, you'll see that this controller is beautiful. I am really impressed with this. So if you're sticking around for a spoiler alert, no, I'm not going to go crazy ham on this. I really am impressed with it. So once I got it set up, I'm going to go through some of the gestures. I'll put some of them over on this screen as well of how this is different. I'm going to be comparing it to the RC Pro because, you know, this is a direct comparison. This is just called the DJI RC. But it's also got some limitations, but I'm also going to talk about and try and answer some of the questions I got on the last video. So on the controller itself, you'll notice it doesn't have a 5D button. It doesn't have a back button either on the front of it. So to actually go back on something, you just swipe back. So once you turn this on, you get a menu. It goes through the little gestures that you can do to get this working. On the top of it here, you'll see that you've got a dedicated record button, a dedicated photo button. You hold that once to focus and then you can hold it down to take a photo. And then on here you've got two gimbal wheels. Now one of those is going to control your zoom and the other one controls the gimbal orientation. And the gimbal orientation on here is phenomenal. I'll speak about this in a second, but being able to pitch up 60 degrees on here is going to allow for some fantastic creative moves. On the back of the controller, you'll see here that this is where you put the controller sticks at the back here, and you've got a C1 and a C2 customization button, and then the vents for the fans. On the bottom of it, you'll notice you've got this flap here. This holds another USB-C port, an SD card reader, and then another USB-C port here. Now, I've been using these for file transfers and for charging it. I haven't tested this yet. If you can connect this to, say, a USB-C to HDMI, I will focus on that soon and give you the answers to that. If we look at the controller, we're going to speak about the screen in a second, but the actual size of it is pretty much identical to the RC Pro. The screen is the same size as the RC Pro, but the weight is a significant difference. This weighs 385 grams, whereas the RC Pro weighs 680. A significant difference, especially for travel. That extra weight, you're going to notice that straight away. If you're going to be flying quite a long period of time, holding it in your hand, it's just effortless. It's so easy to carry around with you and hold. It's super lightweight, a massive advantage there. Now, another question was about the antennas. The antennas on here are inbuilt internal antennas here. If you notice on the camera, you might just pick up the two little antenna logos here. So they're actually inside. So there's no external ones, they don't clip on, nothing like that. So you have this facing in the direction of your drone. Now I have been testing this on a couple of flights and let me tell you, the signal performance is brilliant. So I can't tell any difference between this and the RC Pro, and the RC Pro signal was awesome with them external antennas. So signal performance on here, do not worry about it. Another question was to do with the screen recording. Can you screen record on here? Well, you can. You just swipe down from the top, and then on this screen here, you see that there's a screen recording button. You can take a screenshot, you can control the brightness, control the volume, and then this is then saved at the moment on the SD card. So I tried to screen record with no SD card in, and it will let me. As soon as I put an SD card into the bottom here, then those screen recordings were then saved to the SD card. So if you like screen recording, yep, you can do that. When you're in that same menu, you just click on the top corner here and this brings you into the settings. Now the settings, I'll just go through you with this overlay. So here you've got access to network and internet. You can connect to Wi-Fi. Now you will need to do this because if you don't do this, you're not going to have any map data when you use the DJI Fly app. You won't be able to do any firmware updates, so it won't have a signal like you may be used to on your phone. So you do need to connect to something like a mobile hotspot. You go back here, we can look, you can connect to devices like with Bluetooth to transferring things. Storage, this is the storage that's on the internal storage. Now you don't get a lot of internal storage because most of that is system memory, but you can put a memory card in here. So I would recommend that. And system, this is how you can just change the date and time. So not a lot there really. And this moves me on to my next point. When you are on this screen or any screen, the DJI Fly app, when you pull down here, you'll see that gets to that screen before. Now on the RC Pro, you swipe up from the bottom or across, and this will get rid of the DJI Fly app or that menu, and it will take you to that Android menu where you can then install apps, or you can use one of the built-in apps like even Instagram or Facebook. On here, you can't. So that's the limitation to this. On here, you have, at the moment, the DJI Fly app and settings. That is it. So if you really want third-party apps, if you like having other apps on your controller like this, the RC Pro is probably for you. If you're not bothered and all you want is the DJI Fly app to fly your drone with this controller, there you go. But that's the limitation so far that I've found on here. So the big one is to do with this screen, isn't it? The brightness. So I have looked everywhere, all over the app on here and the controller itself to look for the nits value. It doesn't say it. DJI spec sheet isn't out yet, so I can't 100% tell you the nits value on here. But what I can tell you is that this screen is phenomenal. And if we swipe down, that's on about 30% at the moment, brightness. So if we move that across, you move that across all the way to the top, so about 100. And at no point have I struggled to see this screen in really bright conditions earlier on today or last night. I can't tell any difference between this and the RC Pro. I think the size and the actual brightness is the same. There could be a chance I might be wrong, but for me, from having both, comparing both, looking at both, I can't tell any difference. A huge advantage there. I want to just quickly show you the usability between the controller and this Mini 3 Pro, how it looks on the settings on the DJI Fly app. Just a quick video here, it's about 30 seconds long, and I'll join you back in a minute. So what's it like to use this controller? Well, that screen obviously is fantastic. I don't have any ND filters on yet because obviously we haven't got any. And also another question I got asked was about the color. So at the moment, this firmware is limited to just normal color profile. But because this controller is so lightweight, it's a dream, and I am blown away with the gimbal on here. They're able to rotate it this high to get these type of shots up to 60 degrees pitching up on that gimbal wheel. This is incredible, and it's going to give you so many opportunities for some creative videos, and I can't wait to get back to those videos of how to fly the drones, cinematic shots, etc. But it comes with a drawback. Because that gimbal pitch is so extreme, it's also fast as well, so I'd recommend turning that down because it is super sensitive. But also with using this controller, because you've now got the options to adjust the gimbal pitch, you can also use that zoom. So you can see now at the end I was zooming in using that right dial at the top, allows you to zoom in. And currently in 4K, which is what I was filming in, you can zoom in into 2 times, but it's super smooth as well. So if you can get the zooming in and also that gimbal dial moving down at the same time, you're going to get a really cool looking shot. So yeah, using this controller over the RC Pro, I prefer it because of the bulkiness and the weight of that RC Pro. So for a small drone, a light controller is brilliant. Okay, photos, a few photos, JPEG, and then a couple of different RAW ones once I've edited them. I'll do a full video showing you all the different photos and videos at a later date. I'm going to concentrate on the controller here. But yes, being able to access and use the zoom wheel as a dedicated zoom wheel on that top right hand corner is excellent. So I hope you enjoyed that. It shows you how you can use this and the ability to pitch up on here. I'm going to have such fun with that. That's brilliant. But yes, this controller, more than impressed with. If I give you my initial impressions and thoughts of this and what I would recommend to you, if you can, I would go for this. So I'll keep calling it the Baller Edition. So if you're getting this controller and you're getting the Mini 3 Pro in one. Now in the UK, this was £860. Now to just put that into some sort of context, £860 for both of these together, whereas the RC Pro alone cost me £860. So for me, if I had the choice, the RC Pro to give me a 5D button, a back button, arguably better built, heavier, but might, you know, take an impact a bit better. I don't know. I really can't recommend going and buying that RC Pro at the moment. Now I've seen this, I would spend £860 and buying these two together and not getting the RC Pro. But that does leave a bit of a conundrum, doesn't it? But what about those people who already have the RC Pro? So you might have got it bundled with this, with the DJI Mavic 3. If you want the Mini 3, a really common question and what you're going to be asking is, can you use these two together? Because if you can, then you would just pick up the cheapest version of that DJI Mini 3 Pro. And that's something which I'm going to let you guys know really soon. I've not tested that yet, but I'm not sleeping. I'm trying to get all these answers and questions to you as fast as possible. And that, along with will this work with the DJI Mini 2, is something I'm going to get to you really fast. So if you're new around here, make sure you like and subscribe the video. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. If you've got any more questions on this, on the DJI RC, then do let me know. But overall, I'm so impressed with this. I am not bothered in the slightest that I can't load third-party apps on here. I can't think of one occasion actually when I actually even used them on the RC Pro. I did like the 5D button, the back button, and it did feel, you know, a bit more better built, but that's it. So for that, I'm more than happy to have this rather than the RC Pro. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support on the previous videos. You go and have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you really soon. Bye bye.